Good morning, guys. I want to talk to you this morning a little bit about carabiners and connecting links. It's something that gets overlooked a lot. I know when I inspect a lot of climbing gear that's been retired from an employee that recently left, I typically find some carabiners that are less than par, and I just want to let everybody know what they should know about carabiners, how to inspect them, when to get rid of them, when to get new ones, and some situations where we can use either or. First type's pretty common, is a twist lock. This is an aluminum climbing carabiner, twisting, triple action, double locking gate. We're all familiar with these. Pretty standard test for most carabiners. Open it completely and it should close and lock. Open it, hold it mid-span and it should close and lock. And then open it and hold it just next to the nose. This is the nose. And this didn't close and lock. So it failed that test. This is fairly new looking, doesn't look like it's seen a lot of use. Probably just rolled around at the bottom of a gear bag or in a bin. I could probably take some WD-40, a brush, or some solvent and clean this out. I'll talk about cleaning for a second. If you're going to clean a carabiner, WD-40 is fine, parts cleaner is fine, as long as you rinse it then good with hot water and or a mild soap. Oil is great for unsticking these things, but oil can attract dust, and dust can build up and the same thing happen again. So if you're going to clean a carabiner with WD-40, that's great, but then flush it with good hot water, maybe a little soap to clean the oil off of the carabiner. Excuse me. Another pretty standard type is your ball lock carabiners. I like these because they require a little less movement to open. Same test. Open it the whole way, should click close, should lock halfway, and then just next to the nose, and it should lock. Common problem with these is the ball breaking or falling out or becoming dirty and sticking. Just make sure that ball works. Years ago, they made these ball lock carabiners with plastic gates. If you have any plastic gated carabiners, they should not be used for climbing. The gates can break, they can crack. I've seen that happen a lot. Another pretty common style carabiner we all have on our saddles is a steel carabiner. This happens to be used for rigging only because it's only single locking and it requires one movement to unlock instead of two like the climbing carabiners. Again, test it the same way. A little bit less important that it locks and works properly. If it's used for rigging, that's not life support, so we can get away with maybe using some things that are not necessarily unsafe, but if the gate sticks, that's not a huge deal. Cleaning the same type of way, solvent, flush with hot water so it doesn't collect dirt. So another common issue I find with guys is using climbing carabiners for rigging carabiners for climbing, not so much. But the reason I don't like to see aluminum carabiners used for rigging is because if you run a rope through this continually over the course of a year or two, you're going to put a groove in the carabiner. Aluminum gets super hot really quick. It will groove, especially since a carabiner like this is probably going to be used and the rope run through the same point. It's going to wear a groove in that, which is going to degrade the aluminum. It's going to make the carabiner weaker, and if you're rigging off of it, there's a chance that it could accidentally get circulated back into somebody's climbing gear. So if you're rigging with a carabiner, lowering light things, that's fine. I'm cool with that. Speed line, whatever. It should be a steel one. It should be a steel one. I know some guys use steel climbing carabiners. It's perfectly fine. Just make sure they don't get confused for a rigging carabiner and used for that and then used for climbing again. If it's a climbing carabiner, it's got to be used for climbing and climbing only. The reason we use steel carabiners with our hitchhikers, our single line devices, is because they won't groove. They don't heat up as quickly, and they're really just stronger. So if you're using a hitchhiker, it's got to be a steel carabiner. That's why they come with steel carabiners. Don't replace it with an aluminum one. And that's pretty much it. So I went over 3 common types. Oh, one I forgot to mention, non-locking carabiners. Not a very good example because this is a keychain. But non-locking carabiners, it's okay. Wouldn't recommend it, but they can be used for some light rigging, maybe some speed lining in certain situations. 3 things you got to know: how to use, how to inspect, and when to retire. We know how to use them, right? We only load them on the long axis, vertical axis. Never side load a carabiner. How to inspect, we talked about the gates. That's pretty much it. If you have a carabiner that has excessive wear at one of the wear points from being used improperly, get rid of it. I have plenty of carabiners. Come talk to me. When to retire. Excuse me. When to retire. When the gates are broken and it can't be cleaned, if there's excessive wear on one of the sides of the carabiner, great time to retire it. Or if it's aluminum and it's possibly bent or distorted, get rid of it. So that's all I have. I just wanted to talk to you guys for a moment about carabiners, and that's it. Have a good day.